NBC Sports and the PGA Tour proudly present the season-long race for the FedEx Cup and live Wednesday coverage from the Memorial Tournament presented by Workday. We are on the range at Muirfield Village Golf Club, presented by ReliaQuest. A springtime stop in Dublin, Ohio, just outside the capital city of Columbus, in Jack Nicklaus's home state of Ohio. This event dates back to 1976, and it's a special week, the 50th installment of the Memorial Tournament. Opening round set to begin on Thursday morning. Cloudy skies, cool temperatures, and a lot of humidity, stickiness in the air. I'm John Swantek. Greg Perks, Steve Scott, John McGinnis with you as well over the next 90 minutes as we get everybody loose and limbered up for the start of the signature event tomorrow, guys. And among this elite field of 71, Mr. Justin Thomas just doing a little work on the range there at the moment.
Well, he better get warmed up. It's 58 degrees, so it's a little cool, and it's really been a wonderful season for Justin Thomas. Very particular the way he goes about preparing for a round or for a tournament. But I think more than anything, playing with extreme confidence right now to get that victory at RBC Heritage. It had literally been 2 years since the prior win at the PGA, and the iron game has been very sharp. The putting is incredible. 17th this season. He was 175th last year, driving in a couple of more fairways to take advantage of that lethal iron game and making some putts. No wonder he's 5th in the world.
Yeah, the putting especially. We look at his golf swing, and he's got this very upright left arm. But the putting, they always say go to dinner with great putters. And you get that great confidence when somebody is putting well. It's very interesting when you talk to somebody who's not putting well versus somebody who's putting well. And the level of confidence in their voice and in their tone, it just kind of seeps onto everybody who's talking to them, I think. And so you're right, you have that opportunity on that last hole like he did to hold that putt and get back into the winner's circle now, 16-time PGA Tour winner. Pretty spectacular stuff. He's always been very confident, but yes, this kind of rises that one up just another notch.
And you talked about the high arms, very upright swing. To me, it's a little homage there to Seve and Tom Watson. Those guys were wonderful, creative, masterful shot makers. Did they get a little erratic, a little wild? Yes. And I think that he has the willingness or the ability to shape shots maybe more than anybody in the game. Sometimes he has too many shots in the repertoire to choose from. But no, to go back to the putting, he reached out to Xander Schauffele. And, Xander is, go back to last year, one of the best putters in the game and has consistently been. But, just go back to some of the things that he used to do when he was putting well. Be a little bit more regimented, sort of have a home base of fundamentals. So you take the great iron game, and now you take the sort of the confidence in how he's preparing to putt. No wonder he is where he is in the world.
Winner on the first hole of sudden death at Harbour Town when he defeated Andrew Novak. So a signature event under the belt of Justin Thomas. This the 7th of 8 signature events this season. It ended a 3-year victory drought for Justin Thomas. It's been 3 years since Patrick Cantlay won as well. In fact, these two will have each other's company in the opening round tomorrow. Good, strong record through the years here for Cantlay, who's won it a couple of times in 2019 and 21, and would love to get across the line for a third time and quench that victory drought.
Well, when we think about Patrick Cantlay, we think about consistency. And I think the consistency leads to that man who just walked across the screen and out of the screen to the left. His coach since he was the age of 7, Jamie Mulligan. I think that leads itself to playing a very consistent game over time, because when you have a player, and we've seen players over time go from coach to thought, and all of a sudden you start to lose your golf DNA. And I think something where Patrick Cantlay has found the consistency over time is having this same coach by his side, a coach who coaches the Corda sisters, among others. And so he's had so many great people in his stable, but Patrick Cantlay is somebody he follows along and has just given him simple guidance over time, and it has paid off in the level of consistency over time.
Yeah, he's not the magician that you think of Jordan Spieth. He's not the shot maker of Justin Thomas. He doesn't have that lethal weapon that Rory does off the tee. What he is, he's steady, he's relentless, he has this intent. Maybe methodical at times, stoic. When he won here for the first time, Mr. Nicklaus said, smile a little more, enjoy. Sometimes he looks a little joyless out there, but I just like as I said, the intent. The routine can be mesmerizing, the consistent rhythm. He's a 5-tool player, no question about it.
Look, it's hard to win out here. They don't just hand them out on Sunday afternoon on the PGA Tour. And you saw Cantlay's FedEx Cup positioning at 21st, so it's been rock solid. We talk about the long-term relationship he's had with Jamie Mulligan, Steve. You think of Scottie Scheffler, who's our defending champion this week, been working with Randy Smith for 21 years now, since he was just 7 years of age. So we'll hang with you for the next hour or so. Great to have your company. John Swantek, Craig Perks, former Players Champion, Steve Scott as well. John McGinnis has made it from Wilmington, North Carolina, all the way to Dublin, Ohio, by a whisker. He'll join us as well. 50th anniversary of this event. Even before it became a signature event in this modern era, Steve, it was something special and has been since 1976. What do you think of when you think of the Memorial Tournament?
Well, I think it's really two words, Swanee. I mean, I think it's tradition and charity. You think of tradition, the fact that, these players know what they're going to get here. They know they're going to get the 4-inch gnarly rough. They're going to get fast greens. They're going to get beautiful milkshakes, delicious milkshakes in the locker room. But the tradition really, having the 5th longest running event on the PGA Tour, played at the same golf course time and time again. I think that leads a lot to consistency. And then you look at the charity, the charitable aspects. I mean, over $50 million has been contributed to Central Ohio charities. And really, it was all dated back to Mr. Nicklaus and Mrs. Nicklaus when they had an 11-month-old daughter, Nan, at the time, who's great and had a wonderful life so far. And so she had some health issues as an 11-month-old. And they knew they wanted to give back, and they have.
Yep. Barbara Nicklaus has been the driving force behind a lot of what Steve just said, and she's the Memorial Tournament honoree. Will be recognized today. We'll get into that a little bit as well. Jack Nicklaus has designed hundreds of courses, Craig, all over the golf course. This crown jewel, though, this is his baby. Yeah,
it really is, to be honest with you. And he didn't touch it this year. He's always just tried to steadily improve this golf course. Yeah, you go back to 1976, Roger Maltby, our defending champion, Scottie Scheffler, and in between the illustrious list of champions, Mr. Nicklaus won his twice, Tiger Woods. This golf course is 7,500 yards. It is a demanding test. That's the 4th longest yardage on the season. And the greens, oh, by the way, the 3rd smallest, only 5,000 square feet. And with the way that these greens play, can be very firm and fast here. There is rain in the forecast. But this is an approach style golf course. If you miss the green, and I don't care if you have a short game like Jordan Spieth or Justin Thomas or even Scottie Scheffler, maybe Matsuyama, you can't get the ball up and down. You miss it in the wrong spot, it's absolute bogey. So, and I think that's exactly what Mr. Nicklaus wants. He wants to test the best. And, with all the tweaks, there's been scalpels to certain spots and there's been huge shovels to others. He's always trying to improve this place, and not only for this event, but for the membership as well. He's done a marvelous job.
He wants to test the best and invite the best as well. He had 4 sponsor invites at his discretion and used one of them to invite Jordan Spieth to compete here this week. So Spieth, one of the 71 on hand to try and secure this 7th signature event of the season. There's been some encouraging trends and some strong finishes for Jordan as of late, including a 4th place showing in Dallas a few weeks back. And again, it was a late start to the season after the off-season wrist surgery. And you always want to maybe allow a little bit more of a generous timetable, Steve, if you're coming back from a wrist issue as Jordan has?
Well, he jumped right back in. I mean, second tournament back, the WM Phoenix Open, I mean, he was in contention. He felt the heat. I mean, he shot 62 at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson recently. He's seen some signs of success. You know, will we see the old Jordan ever again? Time will tell. But we know that he's feeling pretty good about things. His golf swing is looking very solid right now, driving the golf ball very nicely.
Yeah, I think, you know, let's go back to he had to shut it down for 5 months with the wrist surgery. And now he's able to do the sufficient amount of work. Talked about the consistency. You talked about that, Scott. Steve, excuse me. The mechanics are certainly getting better. And I think that he's been inspired. You know, watching Rory complete the career Grand Slam. Jordan obviously had a chance at the PGA. That didn't go too well. And then he played with Scottie Scheffler the first 2 days at the Byron Nelson. So you can admire what Scottie shot 61, 63, that 36 holes, and went on to win by 8. So I think he's come to the realization now at the age of 31 that he's not the best player in the world. He watched Rory. He watched Scottie Scheffler. And that's tough to admit for a guy that has won 13 times in his career and 3 major championships, basically throughout this is 13th year on tour, but maybe for the first 10 or 11, he felt like he was the best player in the world. That's not the case. So there's some inspiration there, there's some motivation there, and I think that's potentially why you've seen some of the resurgence from Jordan Spieth.
We'll look in on some of the notable pairings we'll have our eye on in the opening round tomorrow. Xander Schauffele will play with Spieth and try to keep the cut streak alive. There will be a cut, by the way, in the signature events that are associated with players. Tiger at the Genesis, Arnold Palmer's Invitational at Bay Hill, and here this week they'll cut it to 50 and ties from this field of 71. Little Maya Fowler, not part of the field, however, but she wants to get in on the action. And in the warm-up session with that here.
Oh, that club's got to feel like a sledgehammer to her, but beautiful. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, that's really cool stuff right there.
How's Dad's game trending for you these days? Anything you've noticed, Rickie?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's not the Rickie that he was just a couple years ago when he won the Rocket Mortgage Classic there, but all his numbers went down last year in all the strokes gained categories. Yeah, I mean, you know, he could be focusing a little bit more right here than he is on his own game, and that is rightfully so. He's had an amazing career, and he's far from over, but sometimes priorities in the mind, you know, they can definitely go back and forth.
Yeah, I think to your point, don't try and be who you were. Just try and be the best version of yourself right now, and that's got to be really exciting. Now, father of 2, and we overuse this word perspective, but certainly in place for Rickie Fowler.
29 of the top 30 in the FedEx Cup race, 9 of the top 10 in the world here this week at the Memorial Tournament. Rickie Fowler continuing to work through the bag on the range here. And Craig, the swing looks like it's in pretty good working order over the last several weeks, doesn't it? There is our tracer technology this week provided by TrackMan.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of access. This is his fifth sponsors exemption into the signature event. He got a special exemption to the PGA. Certainly with an incredible career that he's had. You know, the 6 wins, he's nearly 360 events. Yeah, I go back to 2015 with Rickie Fowler, and there was a questionnaire, a survey that went out that asked, anonymous survey, that asked the most overrated player in the game, and it was Rickie Fowler. And he's actually heard some of the negativity about getting those starts recently. He said it's fueling him. He played in the last group on Sunday last week at Colonial. He played well at the Truist. He is still one of the most popular players in the game and as gentlemanly as you can get. I've always said about Rickie Fowler, adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it. And, I think he's one of the true gentlemen out here. And yeah, he did great work with Butch Harmon early in his career. He went to John Tillery. He wandered back to Butch, who said that the changes were simple but significant. He's trying to get the club in a better position at the top. He had a tendency to get it laid off and shut, which is nearly an impossible position to play from a consistent standpoint. You see the rehearsal here to try and get the hands in line with the shaft, and then it just works up to the top, so then he can deliver the ball more consistently. I love watching Rickie Fowler play, and I think having him in the fields certainly improves the stature of the field.
Well, I think 10 years ago you mentioned about that anonymous survey. It's kind of interesting. Maybe they should run another one, the 10-year anniversary of it, because he promptly went out, won the Players' Championship that year in May, and then he won 2 other times worldwide that year. So, yeah, sometimes you get that little motivation to fuel the fire inside, and it gets it going. But, he has been so, well, kind of going to your point of the sponsor exemptions, he's had all these opportunities, certainly, to do it, but he gives so much back. He gives so much back to the fans. He gives so much back to the tournaments. I think they're rightfully given, for sure.
Yeah, and his last victory was a 23 Rocket Mortgage, so he's exempt through the end of this year, but currently 90th in the FedEx Cup. Remember, only 70 make it to Memphis, but as I said, as popular as anyone.
Got a half dozen past champions in the field, including Cantlay, who we saw a little bit earlier on the range, who got to shake Jack Nicklaus's hand twice off the edge of the 18th green on Sunday. First of 11 PGA Tour wins for Justin Rose came at the 2010 Memorial Tournament. And 2 of his 3 top 10 finishes this season, by the way, have come in signature events at Pebble Beach and the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Of course, played beautifully at Augusta. It has been a renaissance of sorts the last couple of years for Rose, having entered into his mid-40s out here.
I think it was very interesting. The week before the Masters, he had that famous shank that went all viral on social media that was covered and didn't play overly well at the Valero Texas Open, and then goes right into the Masters that next week and darn near wins it. So it's kind of funny and how fine of a line it is between success and failure in golf. And he kind of towed that line very closely there and showed us that the closest thing to a great shot is a shank, I guess.
What's amazing to me about Justin Rose, his career arc is nearly underrated. He's got 11 wins on the PGA Tour. He's got 15 wins worldwide in 6 different continents. He's got a gold medal, but twice he's finished second at the Open Championship. 3 times he's finished second at the Masters, 2 of those playoffs. Literally, he talked about going to the PGA. He could have been very close to trying to complete the career Grand Slam. He took a leaf out of the ages book of Novak Djokovic, the great tennis player, probably the greatest tennis. Well, Federer probably is, but he talked about recovery is everything, and he's got a recovery vehicle that travels with him. It's a custom RV that when he turned 40, he has a driver out here with him. So basically he's investing in his body because recovery is so important at the age of 44. Red light therapy. He's doing oxygen. He's on a spin bike, hot and cold plunges. He's got the sauna. And so not only is he trying to have this physical stamina, but also the mental stamina as well. So he's sort of working on all the things you need to at 44 years old. From a technical standpoint, it is as sound as anyone that's ever played the game. And I'm a big fan of the Englishman for sure.
A top 10 finish this week would mark his 8th at the Memorial Tournament, just one shy of the record 9 top 10s from Tiger Woods and Jay Haas through the years here at Muirfield Village. Rose off a little after 8 o'clock on Thursday, playing with Daniel Berger in the opening round. Everyone in the Rose camp in good spirits. Well, we saw Rickie a little bit earlier. He's been doing his due diligence on the range. And our man John McGinnis caught up with Rickie a little bit earlier as well.
Rickie, I don't see a TrackMan. I don't see any balls hanging from your neck, go between your arms. You don't have any toys out here. You're just hitting balls.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been old school. I mean, use, foresight and things here and there. But, yeah, trying to, in a way, keep it as simple as possible. The kind of pause at parallel has been a drill that Butch and I have done over the years. One thing it helps me is clean up takeaway. I get a little draggy and pick it up. Helps me get the club in a little better spot, set a little earlier.
It's old school. It's not shut at all. It's pointing up to the sky. Is that something you guys work on?
Yeah, because my tendency is to be, like I said, a little draggy. Club gets a little outside the hands, and that kind of makes things get a little loose or could be towards the laid off side at the top. So just gets me in a little better spot where I can just turn from there. Better on the body. Try and keep it as simple as possible. But, feels and reels are obviously very different. Just trying to, keep it as simple and compact as possible.
It looks good.
The distinction between feels and reels. What in the world is that contraption that the man from Belgium, Thomas Detry, has working at the moment? Well, we'll take a quick break and come back. We'll hear from the WM Phoenix Open champion himself. We'll find out. Welcome back to On the Range, presented by ReliaQuest, live at the Memorial Tournament, presented by Workday. We're a little bit earlier on this Wednesday. John McGinnis was able to catch up with one of this season's champions, Thomas Detry, the winner, the WM Phoenix Open.
Thomas, I'm here to tell you that one size does not always fit all. I don't think that would fit around me. You're right. What is this?
That's just it's called a G box. It's I saw it on social media. It's a guy called George Genkas. It's one of his little training aid, and it just really helps me to keep my arms in front of me. I mean, I can show you swing whenever my lower body sort of goes quickly and my arms sort of stay stuck behind. I missed the ball. I literally missed the ball. You'll see me shaking it and every day. I mean, it gets pretty dangerous. I become a dangerous golfer. But if I keep my lower body and my body sort of quiet and keep my arms in front of me, I stripe it. So that really is, you can't cheat with that, really. You know, as soon as, I'll give you a quick example here. Like as soon as I get my arms sort of behind here and I get quick with the lower body, it just hits the box. And this is hard stuff. So I mean, I won't even hit the ball. You know. So,
that thing's.
I still struggle to hit full swings with it, but if all these wet shots and everything, it really keeps my arms nice and tight in front of me, and I swing it beautifully.
And you know, not many people look good wearing that, but you do.
If you say it, if you say it.
Good luck this week, Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you.
Well, all manner and mode of apparatus available to the players these days, isn't it?
Yeah, everybody has their own way they warm up, the way they kind of find their home base in the golf swing, if you will. I mean, if you look at what Thomas Detry did, though, he definitely found it at the WM Phoenix Open earlier this year. 62 of 72 greens in regulation that week. #1 in strokes gained approach. And when you only fail to get up and down 3 times of those 10 greens that you missed, you're going to win by 7. And that's what he did. He putted great. He's done so many things great, but as far as this goes, everybody has a home base of what they do. You have to understand what your faults are, and then you just go ahead and use these same sort of drills. He's not going to use 10 different things. It's kind of 1 or 2 different things that these players use, and they take them from week to week, and they just make sure that they're back in their, happy place, so to speak.
Well, it's exactly what Rickie Fowler said. It's feel and real. I'm trying to feel the club out in front of me, and this G-box allows him to, if he gets the right elbow tucked a little too much on the downswing, it'll clip the box. You see some guys with alignment sticks on the angle of their shafts. They use that as a feel to kind of, from a sensory point, to see their club work that way. I used to watch Vijay Singh put either a bottle or something out and behind him, so he had to come out in front. I used to use a bolster pillow, which was a piece of foam that was about 3 feet long and about 6 to 8 inches high, and I would drag my club along it, and if I got under it on the downswing, I would clip it. Again, to me, you just saw him do that. We said when the club, my body goes first, my right elbow dips, it gets underneath that box. If I keep my arms out in front of me, this is brilliant, really. But again, it's all about creating a feel. And you may use this when you're going to use it on a Wednesday, you're going to use it as you prepare for a tournament. But even Thursday morning, you may put it on, just to create that feel. Okay, I can sense what my arms are doing. If I have extensor action, I'll get my arms extended on the downswing, I can feel that, then you just go play. It's that 150 yards, the prison walk from the range to the first tee. Can you create that, the feel that you were trying to develop on the range? Can you take that to the golf course? And I think this really is a fantastic idea to do that, because not only does it allow you to create the feel, but if you screw up, you're going to hurt yourself, and obviously you don't want to do that.
By the way, he led by 5 after 54 holes at TPC Scottsdale, and then just turned the lights out and won by 7, stamped his authority on that final
7
round.
on Super Bowl Sunday.
That's right.
Seems appropriate.
I was just going to say, I mean, he's having his best strokes gained approach season that he's had in the last few years. Right around average on the PGA Tour, 108th, but last year he was 137th in strokes gained approach. So all these little things, if you can improve a little bit in each area, you're going to add up as he takes that off now, and now he's got the feel kind of ingrained. But
he's got a lot of speed. He's a great putter. So those two dynamics work in this game. You know, he spent 6 years in Europe. We had an incredible collegiate career at Illinois. Freakishly talented. That's what his peers say in the locker room. So they weren't surprised to see him win for the first time out here and to win by the large margin. But again, he's just looking for a little bit more consistency with the strike, and I think this is creates that feel that we mentioned.
Well, we saw Justin Rose earlier. His first victory on the PGA Tour came here at Muirfield Village. Same thing for Hideki. 2014, 11 years ago, was the breakthrough win for Matsuyama, coming right here at the Memorial Tournament. Of course, won the very first event of the season, the Century, in record-shattering fashion. All he did was make 35 birdies on the Plantation course, Craig.
John, it's his only top 10 of the year, which is really surprising. And there's been a transformation to me in Matsuyama, now 33 years old. For the longest time, I would say nearly 8 to 10 year period, from strokes gained approach to strokes gained tee to green, he was inside the top 10 every single year. He's transformed into, he's still a good striker of the golf ball, maybe a little bit more inconsistent. Statistically speaking, he's got the best short game on tour. Not only does he lead, he led the PGA Tour in strokes gained around last year. This year he's second in sand save percentage, second in proximity from the hole out of the sand. He's third in scrambling. So it's amazing now if he really, to me, just looking for a little bit more consistency. Tee to green, yes, he's inside the top 20 in both that stat and total, but to me, the improvement in the short game actually takes pressure off the iron game so he can be a little bit more aggressive if he wants to be.
Yeah, and those are components of the game, Steve, the short game and the putting that we once considered deficiencies for Matsuyama, and now they're strong assets.
yeah, no question about it. Let's take a look at Hideki's swing, though, and what I like to see, I like to look at kind of the upper half here. What's his head? What are his shoulders do at the point of address and then at the top of the backswing? So beautiful, powerful setup. You see those really strong legs provide a great base to the golf swing. Now he gets a beautiful rotation right here. And I watch the neck and I watch the head position, and I'm going to keep this here, and I'm going to put an arrow. I'm going to put a little straighter arrow right there on his head, right there, as he comes down. Now, I want you to take a look at this, because this is what's got him. He's had to withdraw from a few golf tournaments over the last 4 or 5 years, and some of these things are because he's got a little neck. He moves his neck a little bit more to the right and kind of impinges a little bit through the follow-through, honestly. But beautiful connection there. And on his way through, we think about the top of the backswing and the pause there, but I think about his neck and how his head position influences the path of his golf swing.
I love the foundation. I mean, you talked about, I always think of KJ Choi had those legs of a power lifter, and Matsuyama spends a lot of time working on the lower part of his game, and he's done some speed work. Maybe that's been detrimental to the body breaking down, but I love the foundation because it just gives you that solid base to turn around and that really good full turn. And it's amazing with that Exmo camera, you see that it looked like he had stopped at the top, and there was just that little bit more of continuation, which then creates the separation from the upper and lower body, which creates that tension that you can generate some speed.
Yeah, the Hideki Hezi at the top is not as pronounced as it once was, Steve, but you can see so much of that force and speed that's about to be burned just gathers at the top of the backswing.
Yeah, you talked about his 35 under at the Century at the beginning of the year. In his next 12 events after that, he's only, quote unquote, 37 under par in over 12 events, and he was 35 under in one. So he got a lot out of that very first event there, but has done very well here. 6 top 20s in 10 events here at Muirfield Village. So a golf course he loves right here, no question about that. Always fun to come back to a golf course where you've had success, where you've seen yourself take home the trophy. Confidence like that, you've got to look back into your memory bank a little bit, and back in 2014. But you take that confidence even to today, 11 years later.
An incredible range here too. As you prepare for, as I said, one of the most demanding tests, it's not quite a 360 tee box, but there are so many great targets out there. You can work on every facet of your game, and if there's wind, it's a semicircle of the tee box, so you can, if you want to go all the way to left and hit it into the wind, all the way down the right, if you want something right to left. So Mr. Nicklaus even thought about the range, but great targets out there, so you're really actually preparing for the competitive nature of the event while you're on the range. You're not just slapping golf balls out there nondescriptly.
No detail of running a top-tier premier event on the PGA Tour goes unattended to this week. Well, Tommy, Fleetwood made a little charge up the leaderboard on Sunday, just a few days ago at Colonial, the Charles Schwab Challenge, as he was continuing his pursuit of his first victory on the PGA Tour. It ended up being his 41st top 10 finish in 156 starts out here. An incredible run of consistency. No trophies in the U.S.
27 top fives. So, yeah. But listen, it's coming. And he's the 12th best player in the world. And so we saw Thomas Detry with that G-box. The same thing with the shaft here. So the alignment stick basically on the same angle as the club shaft. That also helps him keep the club out in front of him.
Yeah, this is his home base, no question about that. Uses this every single week. There's his caddy, Ian Finnis, right there. All 6'7" of him.
Can I interrupt? Let's not forget about the 7 wins in Europe or the DP World Tour. Sure. So he knows how to win throughout the world. He just hasn't had he's had a lot of opportunities, just hasn't been able to knock the door down here on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that astounds all of us, the fact that we know that he can win. I mean, very much like Colin Montgomery in a past generation who never won here on the PGA Tour and won plenty overseas on the DP World Tour. I mean, Tommy, it's not like he's an awful putter. He's 55th this year in strokes gained putting, 11th in strokes gained approach. So, I mean, he's hitting a lot of good shots. He's putting very well, but maybe not holding all those putts in the exact key moments to give himself enough momentum. This game is a game of momentum so much, and there's just some points where we see that he just doesn't quite maybe make that par save to keep a round together at the beginning of a golf tournament. I mean, the strokes count the same on Thursday as they do on Sunday, and you have to come out with that same fire in that opening few rounds as you do in the final few rounds.
Of course, it took an epic finish produced by Nick Taylor in his homeland of Canada a couple of years ago, holding a 70-footer for an eagle to stun Fleetwood in what was perhaps his best chance to win on the PGA Tour. That'll be next week's stop, by the way. The RBC Canadian Open, the United States Open at Oakmont to follow, and a significant stretch here through the spring of big events, signature events. This is the 7th of the season. 71 players have made it here to Jack's Place. We're with you on the range today, but live first round coverage of the Memorial Tournament can be found on ESPN Plus starting at 7:45 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. Golf Channel's first round coverage starts right here at 2 p.m. Eastern. A few umbrellas have popped out in the last little while here on the range as Matt Fitzpatrick gets to work under the watchful eye of his coach, Mark Blackburn.
Interesting, when he showed up here last year, he was 16th in the world. Right now he's 79th. We do have some converging trends for the Englishman. 23rd at the Truist, 8th at the PGA. So that's basically been his best stretch this season, and the last 2 seasons at Memorial, 9th, 5th. So, but yeah, Matt's brother was the one that began the relationship working with Mark Blackburn, and then Matt Fitzpatrick, longtime coach, Mike Walker's been unable to travel this season, so he's now working some with Mark. He has said prior to the Truist, he said my game was rubbish. And there's been a significant fall off in approach and putting. He's 133rd this year in putting, the last 2 years top 25. It's still very analytical, still working extremely hard on trying to find his home base, Steve.
Yeah, he's always the type of player, he kind of pulls it inside on the way back and then gets a little bit more vertical on the way down and a little steeper. And sometimes that doesn't lend itself to great driving ability of the ball, but at the end of the day, it comes down to rolling the putter. I mean, he's been negative in strokes gained putting 4 of his last 6 events. So you can never outplay your putter. There's no 2 ways around it. But
and sometimes if you work so hard on the golf swing, you neglect the strength, and that's what's happened. That's Rickie Fowler went through that. So Matt Fitzpatrick are also spending maybe a little too much time on the range.
You saw the strokes gained numbers on the green for the former U.S. Open champion. A little deficient in that department this season at 133rd, losing shots to the field. A little rain in the forecast here for the week. That's not unusual, nothing we haven't seen here through the years. Time now for improved outcomes presented by ReliaQuest. The right approach leads to improved outcomes. If victory is going to be the outcome for any player here this week, it's going to be a hard-earned finish at the 18th, which was the most difficult hole on the golf course a year ago.
Yeah, it is. You certainly need to earn it. And if you look at from a PGA Tour rank, and most difficult par 4s certainly ranked up there. It was the toughest last year at Muirfield Village. And really the whole stretch, 16, 17, 18, the farther you push it up, it necks in. There's water on the left, that's in play. A lot of guys bail out to the bunkers in the rough. You really actually can't even get it on the green from over there. And then I think what Mr. Nicklaus likes, Scottie Scheffler talked about that, we love an uphill par 4 to finish. And that, the second at the 18th plays dramatically uphill. And again, look, you cannot hit the green in regulation. Rickie's so right. 14% from the fairway, less than 50%. You earn the right to be called the champion here at the Memorial Tournament.
Even from the fairway, the 18th played over par last year. Here's the scouting report from Rickie.
Yeah, 18's a tough hole, especially now that they've lengthened it a little bit. It used to be a lot of guys would hit primarily 3 woods off the tee. You still can, but it's going to leave you quite a ways in. The further you push it, the narrower the fairway gets. It starts to pinch in. The fairway pitches to the left. There's bunkers right. You have the creek on the left. And I would say if you don't hit the fairway, other than maybe being in a bunker with a good lie, you're not going to be able to hit the green in too. And being even from the fairway, it's a tough green to hit, depending on wind conditions and how firm the greens get. So it's a hole you'd love to be standing on with a 2-shot lead, where you can figure out a way to cruise it in. You have to par the last. It's a tough task. So great finishing stretch here, 16, 17, 18. Not easy holes, but you can make birdies, but it's going to take some, nice tee balls and some quality shots.
Pretty thorough breakdown. That about covers it. Scheffler played the 18th under par last year, as did Cantlay when he won the second of his 2 titles in 2021.
Yeah, it all comes down. He said the green is tough to hit. That's the understatement of the year right there. On the final round last year, only 13 of 52 players hit the green in regulation. So it's so perched up. And you see these players, I mean, if you par this hole every day, you're going to be right in the mix. It's just so brutal from tee to green. You have so much danger all around. You've got, doubles and triples in play. If you find the penalty area down the left and the thick rough down the right is just penalizing.
That was Improved Outcomes presented by ReliaQuest.
I think Mr. Nicklaus has done an incredible job to keep the golf course up with technology. There was a little time period where guys were, when the change in the driver hit in the golf ball, you could take a lot of the bunkers out of play on the corner. And so he basically pulled the tee back away from the green and he pushed those bunkers down the right closer to the green. So now you do have to maneuver the golf ball. I just think that you can notice Mr. Nicklaus's teeth marks throughout this place. He's beefed up Muirfield Village. That I go back to, I was on the property in 2020 when they actually, basically once the leaders made the turn, construction began on the front 9, and that was the biggest change. He said his desire to make the golf course better, not necessarily harder. And while substantially improving the playability. But, for a little while, it wasn't really defending itself. But if you look at what the champions have been last year, Scheffler at 8 under, the previous year, Victor Hovland in that playoff at 7 under, and Billy Horschel at 13 under in 2022, and Cantlay at 13 under. So with those significant changes, the last bite in the apple, that's what Mr. Nicklaus called it. It is certainly truly defending itself right now.
Steve, the action of Sungjae Im, which Craig described one time as metronomic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, it all kind of goes back. He was unhappy with his ball striking while on the Japan tour back in 2016, and he decided just in practice one day he wanted to slow his backswing down, and it was just kind of one of those things that he worked on, kind of his signature now, and he wanted to see more consistency, and he's seen it. He's seen that consistency over time. We know that he really is a perennially beautiful ball striker, very consistent, just delivers the timing of the upper body and the lower body to the impact point always at the same time.
It's a little different tempo possessed by Matt Fitzpatrick, isn't it? John McGinnis caught up with the Englishman a little bit earlier today.
Matt, you were just working on what looked like spine angle, hip tilt. Tell us where that sets you up for.
Just obviously your setup is really important, and for me, something I've struggled with last few months or whatever, just a little bit out of position. So yeah, it's just something new that I'm working on and trying to figure out.
What is it that Mark says that clicks, that gets you in the right spot?
Just understanding just understanding the concept of it and what it does if I'm in the wrong position. I think knowing that can then go, okay, right, if I do this, this is why I'm hitting this shot, or this is why I'm doing this. And then you do it correctly and you can feel the difference and see the result.
Obviously, well, that's what you're after. How does it feel this week?
Yeah. So far, so good. Obviously, only Wednesday, so things change as the week goes on, as always. But looking forward to the week. Love being here. It's always a great tournament. So
you're allowed to have milkshakes.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone is.
Thanks.
Thanks.
That's always a bonus. Players first in line, and you get to shake the hand of the Golden Bear himself, as Scottie Scheffler did on Sunday evening here last year. World #1 reigning FedEx Cup champion, 15-time PGA Tour winner, set to defend his title here this week in Dublin, Ohio.
Thanks for a great tournament.
Scottie Scheffler set to defend his title at the Memorial Tournament. As we welcome you back to On the Range, presented by ReliaQuest. Only one man has gone back-to-back here. His name was Tiger Woods. He did it 3 straight years, starting in 1999. And Tiger's imprint all over Muirfield Village as a dominant performer here through the years. I'll show you how Scottie got the job done last year. Greg mentioned his winning score of 8 under par, and take you through some of the highlights from the week for Scheffler.
Yeah, this was an amazing shot here on the 15th hole. His long iron prowess is just, I mean, this is something otherworldly.
Eagle would follow.
He just knows how to put the dagger in the golf tournament, time and time again.
Yeah, he has this impeccable sense of timing, doesn't he?
100%.
And in the final round, just wouldn't give anyone a sniff. Collin Morikawa was trying to catch him and force extra holes, but Scottie was having none of it. How about that one for 4 at the last, and that amazing atmosphere there it created around the 18th green. Pretty hearty reaction there as well.
I think sometimes with Scheffler, you know, he can lull you to sleep with the way he plays the game. Incredible strategist. I think he's the best iron player of the game, best manager of his assets. But he is a mean competitor, man. And we saw the display of emotion there. We saw it at the PGA, you know, after getting the win. Portrays this gentlemanly aspect to a lot of things that he does, and with his family and Meredith and his son, a lot of wholesomeness. But man, is he a competitor. It is phenomenal.
His fire burns so hot,
Yep.
but you would never know it because his exterior is just so cool and collected.
I think what I like, Steve, is the simplicity to his approach, you know. And I love, I don't know if people heard the quote, making the turn at Quail Hollow for the PGA. He'd pulled some tee shots. And he asked Ted Scott, and they have won now 15 times together. He said, Ted, what do you think? He said, just aim a little right. So Ted came on and talked about it, and he said, you know, if you pull a trigger of a gun and you miss the target left, you don't fix the gun, you just fix your aim. So the simplicity of that is really so impressive.
Yeah, I was able to follow him for 2 days there at Quail Hollow on the ground and watch him up close and his interactions with Randy Smith. And he doesn't have all this technology. When he's leading into a golf tournament day, you know, today, obviously, it's a practice day. We're gearing up. But on tournament days, all this technology is gone. He's got his molded grip that he makes sure his hands are on the club the proper way and consistently every time. That's really the whole predicating system of his golf swing. And then once from there, he knows where the club is at the top. And, you know, if he's aiming a little bit too far left, he just aims a little farther right. And it's that simple. He has so much athleticism, so much hand-eye coordination, the talent to land a golf ball on a dinner plate from 200 yards away. I mean, he can do it.
Yeah, to your point, to be self-sufficient out there, you know, to have the ability to make those adjustments throughout the round. And I think that the footwork get a lot of attention. As I said, he is the best iron player in the game and has literally been for 3 straight years. But you always love to study idiosyncratic swings and why they work so well. You know, does Scottie get a little steep, a little over the top? But the footwork, to me, what it basically does is that footwork allows the arms and the handle and everything to stabilize through impact. And man, does he have the best hand-face recognition of anybody in the game. And it's just an absolute pleasure to watch. First 70 events on the PGA Tour didn't win.
Right.
Now he's got 15 wins. That's 2 Masters, 1 PGA, 2 Players, a gold medal, and 10 other events in a 70-event stretch is pretty remarkable.
He joined Jack and Tiger as the only players in the modern era to win 15 times, including 3 major championships, before the age of 29 when he secured the Wanamaker Trophy at Quail Hollow just a couple of weeks ago. Steve is doing things that, only Jack did, and then only Tiger did as well. As far as the golf swing goes, as we stack it up here for you, does he do other stuff as Jack did?
Well, another similarity of those other two you mentioned, the interlocking grip. That's a very interesting scenario. But what I want to focus on here, and the comparison between what Scottie Scheffler does and what Jack Nicklaus always did, are the high hands at the top of the backswing. And really, it's all about, there's 3 main benefits of the high hands for both these players. Number one, it equals a high ball flight. When you're playing championship firm conditions, you've got to bring this ball in from the stratosphere. You see where these hands are at the top right here. And you have that opportunity to get the hands way above the head right there. Now, Jack, maybe not as much as Scottie even in this, Scottie being a lot taller than Jack. But the key right there, it allows that high ball flight. Number two, the high hands really put themselves in position for a high fade. You think of a lot of the players who have a very elevated left arm, lead arm. They really play more fades than draws. And I think that lends itself, again, to firm championship conditions. The fade spins more, and it's going to stop faster. And then finally, the high hands really help Scottie from the rough. And we've seen some of his statistics from the rough over the course of time as we take these swings all the way down and through. And the nice high hands on the backswing and the through and the finish. But you think about how that benefits you out of the rough. When you have high hands and a vertical swing plane, it allows you to get the rough so much better. You were able to conquer the rough, as you see kind of the career comparison here between Nicklaus and Scheffler.
That was a driver in the hands of Jack in that video, by the way. Looks like one of the 7 woods that the guys carry these days. Career comparison, wouldn't Scottie love to be in the stratosphere of Jack Nicklaus by the end of his career?
I think what's impressive, Scottie Scheffler 8 for 8 now, holding the outright 54-hole lead. 3 of those being major champions.
Well, these are 2 of the premier iron strikers in the game here, Steve, but when it comes to strokes gained out of the rough, there is more of a pronounced disparity between Scheffler and Straka.
Well, both these players are 6'3", and you see they're number 1 and number 2 in strokes gained approach. From the fairway, very similar in all the main categories distance-wise. They're all basically in the top 20. But the change comes when you're from the rough. And when you're Sep Straka, you have a much flatter golf swing. You're 78th from the rough as opposed to where Scottie Scheffler was. As you get longer into the green, the vertical swing plane that a Scottie Scheffler has so much more benefit from the rough when they do miss a fairway. And that's why a Scottie Scheffler is definitely a nose above a Sep Straka when it comes to the ball striking.
It's all happened so fast, hasn't it? Remember, he hadn't won since 2022. He had not gotten across the line yet until the WM Phoenix Open, and Ted Scott was on the bag for that victory and the 14 more that have followed. And Teddy's a very humble guy, Perksy. He's quick to diffuse what his impact on this Scheffler ascent has been, but it's been meaningful.
Oh, absolutely. And Teddy has the ability to say some really poignant and powerful things at the correct time. I go back to last year. He was in a little bit of trouble. He drove it in the fairway at the 10th. I believe this was Saturday. Missed the green left with the pin tucked there front left. Teddy said to him, and as Scottie was surveying the shot, Teddy said to him, make the next shot your best one, because you could sit there and try and get so cute, try and land it in the rough a couple of times, let it creep down the hill, and leave it in the rough, make 6 or 7. Teddy sort of looked at, Scottie looked at Ted, sort of, you could see a little bit of relaxation come over him. He hit it to 25 feet and made it. So, yeah, Scottie Scheffler's got an abundance of talent, and just the way he goes about playing the game and his love to compete and the love to go out and practice and sort of be desirous, searching for perfection. But to have Ted Scott alongside, it's an incredible relationship.
Sparkling greens in regulation, numbers that you just saw, just beyond 70%, number 1 in strokes gained on the PGA Tour, and Sep Straka is number 2. He's got 2 victories this season, including the most recent signature event at the Philadelphia Cricket Club when he won the Truist Championship a few weeks ago.
He's turning into a stone-cold killer, isn't he, Sep Straka? No, number 1 in strokes gained approach this year, second in proximity to the hole, second in total driving efficiency, puts the ball in play time and time again. I mean, all that work he's done with John Tillery over time on his golf swing. I mean, it's a simple kind of goes up the plane and down the plane. You see his right shoulder stay much lower than his left shoulder all the way through impact. Keeps his head very still and just rotates around that center. And it's been extremely efficient.
Yeah, and I think that Truist, the signature event, was huge. You know, he'd won a Cognizant, he'd won a John Deere Classic, he had won an American Express. No disrespect at all, but now big game hunting. That's his brother, identical twin brother there on the bag, Sam. Remember Dwayne Bach, his local regular caddy, is out with a back injury. Sam was actually more heavily recruited going to Georgia than Sep was. And Sep said recently that Sam beat him about 70% of the time until their 4th year in college, but it's going to be good to have Sam on the bag.
Sep Straka will play with Scottie Scheffler in the opening round tomorrow. Blockbuster pairings from top to bottom in this elite and exclusive field here of 71 players, including Wyndham Clark in the background there, the former U.S. Open champion out in Los Angeles, and the Southern Californian Collin Morikawa, who came 1 short last year, bowing to Scheffler. Back on the range at Muirfield Village, and with Collin Morikawa, who has been dotting leaderboards all season long. High level of consistency, but hasn't gotten it all the way across the line on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's Rick Sessinghouse's longtime coach. They've actually worked together since he was 8, although Collin did leave, had a little dalliance with Mark Blackburn for a moment. A couple of second place finishes here. He actually, remember in the 2020 season when they played at Muirfield Village in back-to-back weeks, one was a memorial. He actually won the Workday Charity Open. He beat Justin Thomas in a playoff. his dispersion numbers are incredible. I think the approach, although it fell off significantly last year as he was searching, it was 42nd last year. The 4 previous years, second, first, third, and second, he's 7th this year. The total numbers from tee to green and strokes gained total, he's 6th. He's searching for something. I don't know what it is. He's searching for something. Still looking for a little bit more of the consistency. He's won 6 times on the PGA Tour, all with JJ Djokovic. They have separated now. Joey Griner, a great caddy, longtime caddy of Max Homa there. So he's not entirely thrilled with the way things are going. He hasn't won, I put air quotes there, since late in 2023 when he won in Japan at the old Zozo. But fourth best player in the world, and it's a treat to watch him strike the golf ball. Does he need a little bit more speed? He's very accurate, and he's decent strokes gained off the tee numbers, but sometimes when you get these golf courses at 7,500 yards plus, which is what Muirfield Village is, he's coming in with a little less loft than some of the guys that have a little more power.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference. I mean, you get the longest, hardest tests, and he's definitely at a disadvantage. He's 115 miles an hour club head speed. The average right now on the PGA Tour is 116.5 miles an hour of club head speed. So he has to do other things very well on these long courses, or he has to play better on the shorter golf courses, plain and simple. We know his iron play has been very solid, and I'd love to see a face-on view of his iron play. And there's really one thing in my mind that really gets him to be so accurate with his irons over time. You know, he knows he's not going to get it done off the tee, but he has to get it done right here. And I mean, the biggest thing for me is this left-hand grip. It's all about he's got a very weak left-hand grip. And what that does, it's very good for accuracy because it doesn't allow the club face to rotate too much through impact. But if you look at some of the weak grip players over time, they're not necessarily the longest hitters in golf. They can take this all the way to the top, and you can see as that club goes up, and it's so weak at the address position that when he gets to the top, it's very bowed right here. So the palm actually starts to face the ground. The wrist kind of goes up in an effort to make the club face more closed. And then from here, he rotates. But, you know, that starting position really leads to minimal rotation down at the bottom and very consistent. He hits a fade, which makes sense with that grip as well. Faders have done well around here at the Muirfield Village Golf Club. But having just that little bit more pop off the tee, I mean, such a big difference between 6-iron and 8-iron. I mean, when you know the Scottie Schefflers of the world and Rory McIlroys are hitting 9-irons in the green, he's hitting 7-iron. You do that over 72 holes, you better be really accurate as we take a nice close-up look of this left hand.
Yeah, it's not like he can't play long golf course as well. Remember, he was in the fight all the way to the end at Bay Hill, which is one of the toughest court, but then continues to play well at the Players and these other golf, Pebble Beach and other tracks like that. But yeah, I don't know if he needs to go chase speed. We saw how accurate he is off the tee. Just get it in the fairway so you can continue to take advantage of the absolute strength. I find it quite fascinating that you talk about the real weak left to be that bowed. Generally, think of Curtis Strange, 2-time US Open, a club face wide open. Generally, guys that have a weak left hand are really good in the short game. That part of the game has improved, although there's been a little drop off this year because you can, like Spieth, you can add some loft around the green. But so to me, there's a lot of manipulation in that left wrist to close the face.
And look at those. He sees basically those 2 knuckles of his left hand. That's kind of his checkpoint as he looks down there. You know, that's kind of the checkpoint that all players use wherever they are on their left-hand grip. They're looking down, okay, how many knuckles do I see? I want to make sure I see that every single time. That's a good checkpoint for everybody at home. When you're going out to the golf course the next time, find that checkpoint with your knuckles of your left hand.
Yeah, and make sure the right hand and the left hand marry each other. He can't have a weak and left hand and a strong right hand. Make sure they work together.
Signature victory for Ludvig Aberg earlier in the season. The Swede chasing another starting tomorrow. It has been 50 years, hard to imagine, since 1976, the first edition of this event. Roger Maltby in those sweet slacks won the Memorial Tournament at 76 with a little good fortune. He took down Hale Irwin in a playoff and had a crazy bounce off one of the gallery stakes, much like that one you were just having a look at. Jack would win in 78 and then again in 84. Jack competed in this event, by the way, 30 consecutive years between 1976 and 2005. 77 and 84, by the way, beg your pardon. The two wins for Nicklaus here at Muirfield Village. Ludvig Aberg, a winner already this season. The Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines. We had a couple trips around the South Course for the Genesis and the Farmers earlier this year.
I talk about an upright swing plane. I mean, 6'3", Ludvig Aberg. It just kind of goes up the plane and goes down the plane. There's no rerouting. There's no special anything that goes on. It's just, it's so simple. It's mesmerizing.
What also is mesmerizing and actually bewildering is his inconsistency. He misfires frequently with the skill set and the arrows in the quiver. Yeah, he won the Genesis, 5th at Century, 7th at the Masters. His best finish since is 22nd at API, and the last two starts missed the cut at the PGA and 60th at the Truist. So are we going to dot the I? That's what I want to know.
Wouldn't that be appropriate here in the home course of the former Ohio State Buckeye, Jack Nicklaus, whose wife Barbara, often referred to as the First Lady of Golf for her tremendous and influential impact across the last 50 years or so in the game, is being recognized this week. Barbara is the Memorial Tournament honoree, and she'll be celebrated here shortly on the range. All the pomp and the circumstance of that ceremony is coming up here shortly. We're looking on Max Homa, who has made some wholesale changes to a lot of components to his game, his team, everything, Steve. It's been a lot of upheaval in Max's world since the beginning of this year.
He's changed his clubs. He's changed his coach. He's changed his caddy. He's changed everything, it seems like. But he's starting to find new semblance of this golf swing with his relatively new coach, John Scott Rattan here, who is the director of instruction at Congressional Country Club. But it's been a search. He was in good position, great position after 2 rounds at the PGA Championship just a couple of weeks ago at old stomping grounds of his, where he's had a victory at Quail Hollow, but didn't perform on the weekend, slipped back to tied for 60th.
When he teed it up at this event last year, he was 10th in the world. He's now 87th, and he said it, to be completely honest, this was, I think it was Brady Quinn from The Athletic after the week of the PGA. He said, I don't know what I'm getting out of this. I find something, I lose it, I search for it, I suffer, I'm lost again, there's a lot of torment. Then he says, after that 64, I'm optimistic, but then I leave the golf course despondent, I wake up with excitement to go figure it out. It's been tough to watch, and a lot of it has stemmed from, there's been some mechanical stuff. He's lost the trust and the belief in the driver. He used to have this reliable hard cut, and he's got the two-way miss going. To your point, Steve, I think you've got to go back and find home plate. He talked about with John, Scottie finally said to John, this is what I actually want to do. He showed us some video of the swings when he was playing well at Riviera, won in Riviera. This is how I want my golf swing to be, and I think that I've sort of agreed upon that. I think when you're trying to fix a swing, you marry a series of changes with the reasons to justify to make those changes, and sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you've got to go back to what worked.
I think it kind of shows you that you can't change everything at once. Right? I mean, if you're changing your golf clubs, maybe on the surface it seems like a small thing. Oh, yeah, these clubs, it's the same shaft as I used, or it's the same this. No, it's not, because the composition of the golf club, the driver might be a little bit different. The irons are going to feel a little bit different. The bounce might be a little bit different. And then you're changing your swing with the golf clubs and all these things and all these. Now we're playing golf swing as well, and so there's all these conscious thoughts amidst all the changes. I mean, it's going to take. I mean, it could take another 6 months for him to get back to really where he wants to be.
During the height of his powers, when he was working with a different instructor, Mark Blackburn, guys were saying, this is the textbook. Justin Rose went to work with Mark Blackburn because of the way that Max Homa swung. But unfortunately, Max has lost some confidence.
Oh, we are perfectly positioned here to soak in all the action at Muirfield Village. Also, Henley has got a signature event victory to his credit this season at the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill, playing the absolute best golf of his life, Craig, and he got into the top 10 in the world after that win.
Yeah, that was really impressive. And I loved his quote after he won at Bay Hill. I'm just trying to focus on trying to be really good at what I'm good at. Not searching, not going away from his own DNA. He drives the ball accurately. He's fourth in greens in regulation, third in proximity. You know, and I think he's got this great competitive spirit. I go back to the way he played at Royal Montreal for the President's Cup last year. He carried Scheffler on a couple of those matches. He was clutch. He's consistent. He was unflappable. And I think he took the confidence from that performance where he went 3-1-0 to help the American team win, and took it to this year now, 5 wins. And as you said, he is a top 10 player in the world. It's the first time he's ever been in the top 10 from after the win at Bay Hill, but to be consistently there now. And I just, yeah, he's only got 110 mile an hour club head speed. So we talked about Morikawa, but just he's very comfortable where he is, especially at 36 years old.
So he either needs a firm golf course or a shorter golf course to really feel like he can compete. But he's a guy, he's not concerned about the technical details of his golf swing. He's all about simplicity. And I think that leads to the consistency. He's worked a lot with Jim McLean in the past, and you know he doesn't want complicated answers. He just wants something very simple, and I think that lends itself to just a lot of good, solid play over time.
Yeah, this is not a short golf course. It's a big ballpark, 7,500 yards and change. And if we do get some rain, we've had some drizzle already today, got to play even longer for this field of 71. $20 million purse, with 4 large going to the champion. Elevated FedEx Cup points as well, 700 to the winner here this week. Steve, who's leaving town on Sunday evening with the big haul?
Well, look, I'd love to say Scottie Scheffler. He'd be the chalk pick, but I'm looking at Xander Schauffele. I mean, he's got 64 straight cuts that he's made. We do have a cut this week. Not a huge cut, but a cut nonetheless. He hasn't missed a cut in over 3 years since the 2022 Masters. So I'm going to pick Xander Schauffele. This is a ball striker's golf course, and Xander, the X-Man, I think could rise to the top this week.
Xander's made 64 cuts in a row. The next guy, Scottie Scheffler, 55. I'm not going against Scottie. No one had ever won the Players' Championship back-to-back. Scottie's done it. The last man to win this event back-to-back actually did it 3 straight years, Tiger Woods. Give me Scottie Scheffler.
With authority, Perksy. All right, Xander, Scottie, that's going to be fun. This field is stacked. The golf course is immaculate. The host is total class. Everything about the Memorial Tournament is A+ from top to bottom. And we will stage the 50th edition of Jack Nicklaus's event starting on Thursday morning. Thanks for being part of the show. For Craig and Steve and our entire production team here, I'm John Swantek. I hope you enjoyed On the Range and the tournament, which starts in earnest tomorrow from Dublin, Ohio.